Let's talk about jealousy. Very problematic emotion in our relationships, or it can be, but also a normal thing to feel. So we're going to dive into that in this video. I'm Stacy Rocklein, and I'm on a mission to eradicate loneliness. And we do that one little move at a time in our relationships. And looking at jealousy, understanding what it is telling us, and figuring out what to do about it is very important for us to stay connected to the people that we care about. So first, let's break down jealousy and envy. And these are my kind of viewpoints on these two different emotions. When I feel envious, I'm seeing something that I want. Maybe it's something that the other person has achieved, or they're having a success. And I'm like, oh, I want that too. To me, that's envy. And envy, I feel like, is kind of an empowering emotion. Number one, it's pointing you in the direction of something that you want to be, you want to have, you want to experience, you want to achieve. So it's a great green flag telling you where your heart is, where your dreams are. And I can take an action on it, right? If I see someone's success, I can think to myself, okay, this envy is telling me that I want to experience that success too. So what are the steps that I would have to take in order to have that also, become that also? So envy, even though it feels a little bit like a sting, I have definitely been in spaces where I'm watching somebody who's speaking on a stage, or they're talking about a book they've published, or some big, curriculum they've just written or program they've just rolled out. And I feel that sting of envy. It doesn't feel good because it can feel a little bit like it's got a self-judgment side to it. Like, look at that, but I haven't yet. So it doesn't necessarily feel pleasant, but it also does have hope in it for myself, because it says, hey, Stace, you want that too. So what are you going to need to do to move yourself in that direction so that you can also experience that same thing? That's envy. So I think of that as, even though it doesn't always feel good, as a pretty positive emotion. Now, jealousy is a little different. For me, jealousy is a threat of some kind, and it shows up in relationships where I am watching something and I am feeling threatened in some way. The other person is doing something that's making me feel threatened. In Brene Brown's book, Atlas of the Heart, she talks about how some research that she's dug into a little bit has talked about jealousy as a triad. There's a relationship, and then there's a threat to the relationship. So jealousy doesn't feel the same. And one of the reasons it doesn't feel the same, at least for me, the way I think about it, is when I'm feeling jealous, I want something for myself, but I also see something another person is getting, and I don't want them to have it. It feels closed. It doesn't make my heart feel generous to be like, I want that, and I don't want them to have it. So maybe it's just you're in a relationship and the other person is spending a lot of time with another person. It's a friendship, okay? This is one of your good friends, and then they have a different friend that you're not friends with, and they're spending a lot of time with them, and you feel jealous. Now, envy would be, I also want to spend more time with that person. Jealousy, for me, the difference is I would feel like I don't want that other person to get that. And it's got that little bit of threat in it. So what's important about jealousy is to kind of know if it's a real threat or not. And you can look for whether it's coming from a place of intuition or a place of fear. Let's say you're somebody who's been cheated on before. Okay, so this is in your past, and that can come with some trust issues going forward, which totally makes sense. So when you are perceiving someone you're in a relationship with as spending too much time with someone else, or starting a new relationship or friendship or whatever, you may feel jealous out of fear of something you've already experienced. It may not have there may be no threat at all in reality. but your past is creating that feeling of jealousy. In that case, if it's fear-based, this is your opportunity to dig in and do your own work on the stuff that's happened to you before. It's to process that and to stretch yourself a little bit. You can ask the person, and you should have a lot of transparency in your relationships, especially when you've had betrayal in your past, and let them know this is making you feel insecure, and find out if there's a way you can meet each other in the middle where they can help you feel safe without having to be like hyper controlled by you because you have not dealt with your own trust issues. Now, sometimes jealousy comes from our intuition. Like, you know something's not right. I cannot tell you how many times I have listened to a woman in a session tell me that she just knew that she shouldn't trust that other person. She just knew they were spending too much time with that other person. So sometimes jealousy will come up and it's actually your intuition tapping you on the shoulder and saying, hey, this is not right. Something is amiss here. And so it's not a bad emotion. It's here to tell you something, like all emotions are. And you can ask yourself, what is it here to tell me? Is it pointing at the past and going, hey, this is old stuff. These are your trust issues. And what do you need to do about that? Sit down and have a conversation with your partner, with your friend, with whoever it is, and talk about what you guys can do together. And then also take care of your stuff. You're going to have to go back and process that. Or is it something that's showing up to say, hey, this is a real threat? And then what do you need to do about that? Is that something that you're going to be able to work through with this person? Is this person perhaps not a very good fit for you? All of these emotions tell us something. Like, that's the beauty of our emotions. This is a feel wheel. I'll leave a link to this. Make sure you grab one of these if you want to have a nice, beautiful list of emotions. They're all here with a message. If we remember that, instead of getting swept away by them, we can ask, what are you here to tell me? If it's envy, okay, you're telling me I want something. What is it and how do I go get it? If it's jealousy, are you pointing out work I still need to do from my own past so that I can be in connected relationships now and in the future? Or are you telling me something's not right here? Something feels off. And then what do I need to do about that? And these are just the subtle different things that come with understanding our emotions and the differences between them. You know, for a lot of years, I didn't even think of envy and jealousy as separate. I thought they were two words for the same thing. But now that I understand them, I understand they send me different messages. And that's why it's really important to grab one of these if you don't have one already, so that you can learn the subtle differences between how you feel. You don't just feel angry. You might feel all kinds of different, subtle, nuances of anger, and they all tell you a different thing. So a little bit of a reframe for envy and jealousy. These are human emotions. They come up. We can't necessarily control the emotions that arise. That's okay. But we can listen for the message that they're telling us so that we can keep taking action that help us not only move toward who we want to be and what we want to experience, but move closer to the people that we care about. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're here to do, is to connect with others, to eradicate loneliness. And our emotions are a great way to help us do that. Okay, I'll see you next time.